The following is a paid program brought to you by Dr. Joseph Berry. Some of the information contained in this program has not been approved by the FDA, nor is it intended to diagnose, treat, prevent, or cure any diseases. Before considering anything discussed on this program, you should consult your doctor or primary care physician. Your Health Matters with Dr. Joe Berry on News Radio 570 WSYR, now on 106.9 FM.
One pill makes you larger,
take a couple of
and one pill makes you small.
I have a couple berries.
Bringing you the latest in medicine so you can focus on the other things that matter. Now, here's Dr. Joe.
Thank you, Ian, and thank you, Producer Dave, for your help this morning when my computer went on the kaflooey. But luckily for me, and I don't know if it's lucky or unlucky for you, I'm here, and I'm ready and raring to go. Let's begin with a big hello to my Philly fan. It's one of the patients that came and did a walk with us a couple of weeks ago. He lives in Philly, but he comes up to Syracuse periodically, and I don't know how he gets me on the radio. Maybe he does the iHeart app. We'll talk about that in a second. But I appreciate anyone who says nice things about me, but who wouldn't? I don't do Twitter. I don't really go on Facebook because I just couldn't. I'm too sensitive. I know I may not look a sensitive guy, but I'm too sensitive to take people's backlash and arguments. If you want to argue with me, then let's do so on the air. No, I don't take calls because that can put us down a rabbit hole. But you marshal your arguments and come on the radio with me. I'll be happy to have anyone, whether you're a health professional or not, who wants to come on the radio and duke it out with me, so to speak, mano a mano on the radio, with science. Let the science be what we discuss. Don't discuss my loss of hair or my big belly, my short stature. Let's talk about the science of insulin, the lie that is the carbohydrate hypothesis, etc. And again, I offer the health commissioner, anyone at St. Joseph's Hospital, any cardiologist, any nutritionist, any doctor, any nurse that wants to come on here and debate the science. You call my office and we'll happily arrange a date for you. If Sundays don't work for you because you're spending time with family and friends or in church or communing with the big guy or gal, depending on your perspective, that's understandable as well. I don't... then call me and we'll pre-record a show or two. I hope by now you've had a chance to listen to the Ivor Cummings show. And if you missed this show, and God forbid you feel you need to get more of Dr. Joe, then you can either go to my website, preventivemedicine.net, and look for, maybe it'll say Signature MD, and you click on that, and it'll say the radio shows. You click on that, and you'll get the shows. But my staff has bigger and better things to do than to keep that updated. So it seems, and I don't blame them. We're running a busy medical office. So luckily, we've got producer Dave who downloads the shows almost immediately into iHeartRadio. So you have to get the iHeartRadio app, and then you download that app, you install it, and then when it's open, you go to the 570 WSYR program. Once you go to the 570 WSYR, then you'll scroll down, you'll see all the podcasts. So it's iHeartRadio, then 570 WSYR, then, lo and behold, you will find me. I would urge you not to listen to my prior broadcasts, but to listen to the great works of people like Dr. Robert Lustig or Dr. Thomas Levy or the great Ivor Cummings in podcast or YouTube form. They're all there. Dr. Mercola. You want to be stimulated, listen to Dr. Saladino, the guy that does the carnivore diet. Yes, I understand you're frustrated. I think most doctors are. Meat good, meat bad, coffee good, coffee bad, eggs good, eggs bad, fat good, fat bad. Who do you believe? And I tell you, believe no one, believe nothing. Try it for yourself. Pick a diet, any diet, and try it for a month. How do you feel after? How much do you weigh after? And what does your blood work say? And I think those three things will tell you the righteousness of diets. And again, my hat's off to Keto Phil and his group, Keto Syracuse on Facebook. I had one of my patients come in the other day, and she lost 9 or 11 pounds since the last time she was in. And I said, well, we're finally making some progress. We suddenly have some traction, you and I. I finally got into your brain and worked through a few things. And she said, oh, no, I follow with Keto Phil on Keto Syracuse, and he's helping me. And guess what? I was still happy. I don't have to take the credit. If Keto Phil can get people to lose weight by foregoing carbohydrates, I'm all for that. And again, thank you, Keto Phil. He's coming back on because we've got a fight about meat. I think meat is fine. A certain amount of protein is okay, but above that, mTOR is activated, etc. The methionine in meat, sulfur-containing amino acids seems to stimulate this one pathway. There are 3 or 4 important pathways for aging, and different people have different views on this. If you're doing a keto diet and don't have all the carbohydrates, maybe the methionine doesn't activate mTOR. I'm still doing some research. I know Keto Phil is, and we'll come in and have a summit, and that'll be fabulous for you and for everyone else. Again, if I'm offering just because I can. You're not the boss of me. Free Tai Chi. That Tai Chi is a balance exercise. Tai Chi is slow motion. Tai Chi is to help integrate, just like yoga does, the mind, the body, and the spirit. Yoga is the yoking of the mind and the body, and Tai Chi is similar. You're learning repetitive slow motions. You're learning balance. You're freeing your mind. And I'm offering free classes on Friday mornings at a studio right across my office in Camillus. You don't have to become a patient. You don't have to pay anything. But I think that class currently, which I offer to all my patients, is underutilized. And, to be frank, I'm paying the guy anyways. So why don't I just have him have a bigger crowd? And again, you're not going to be inundated with any kind of sales pitches for my wonderful vitamins or trying to get you to join my fabulous program. None of that. Not going to happen. Not me, not now. So if you're interested in doing Tai Chi, call the office, 410-0651, 410-0651, so you can get information. Now, again, if you want a vitamin scan, and again, this doesn't scan every vitamin, it's looking at the carotenoids, and the carotenoids are one antioxidant found in green leafy vegetables and other vegetables of color. Can I say vegetables of color? I guess I can. So the reds, the yellows, the greens, the carrot colors, the banana colors, if it contains enough carotenoids, it'll register on the scan. Now, I'm not measuring every vitamin. That's difficult to do. I'm not measuring the phenols, the polyphenols, the flavonoids, the bioflavonoids. I'm measuring the carotenoids, but I find that they are a very good marker of your diet. So, as we've discussed previously, if you go to your doctor and have your insulin level measured, that can tell how much junk you're eating. And if you then go, or carbohydrates, and then when you come to me for the vitamin scan, you can find out how much good stuff you're eating. I wish your doctor would get the vitamin scan. They're not that expensive. You don't have to pay an arm and a leg to get this machine. I did. That is, I didn't pay an arm and a leg. You don't have to sell vitamins to get this machine. I don't. So your doctor could, but your doctor isn't going to. Why? Because it costs money and it's not reimbursed by insurance. Your doctor wants nothing to do with the AlphaStim, a device that is as potent as any pill you take, any Prozac, Paxil, Zoloft, as any sleeping pill. The AlphaStim uses electrical current to try and retune your brain a little bit. And it's available. Your doctor can write a prescription and get you one. They're only available by prescription. But it's not reimbursed by your insurance company. So your doctor wants nothing to do with it. I know because I work with 2 doctors and I think 7 nurse practitioners or PAs now. And it's very hard for them to leave the conventional medical model. What's the problem? Here's a pill. Oh, I think I run a very friendly office. I run a very efficient office. You're not waiting 3 months to get an appointment, etc. You're not waiting an hour in the waiting room. But it's still a very conventional office. We're thorough, I'm going to say that for them, but they still say, well, if you have stomach upset, try Prilosec. No. Get off the Prilosec. Your back hurts, take Motrin. No. Why would you take Motrin? Your inflammation has a purpose. You want some inflammation. You want it in a low level. You just don't want a lot of inflammation. So you can come to the office and get a Vita scan, but it's not free. You've got to make a $10 donation to either Hope for the Bereaved, fabulous people there, fabulous organization, Clear Path for Vets, also, again, breathtaking in their charity, Wanderers Rest, Helping Hounds, or Father Chaplin's Guardian Angel Society. Any of those 5 local, real, boots-on-the-ground charities. Don't tell me you tithe a tenth of your income to the American Red Cross. I don't care. Don't tell you gave money to the Heart Association. That's a huge waste because they're still recommending canola oil and corn oil. Donate locally. You know me, I want to shop locally. Although I did hear an ad on this radio station for Moink. Was that the name of the company? Moink? What kind of name is that? How are you going to do any business with a name like Moink? But apparently it's pasture raised food. Instead of getting your stuff from big pharma, you know, that this pharma with an F, not the PH pharma. And I rail against both big pharma and big pharma, the PH and the F. And I have more railing to do. But again, if you come to the office, please, you're not going to be given any kind of a snow job. It's in and out. I don't want you there that long. I want to get you a sense of your health and then move you right along. This is not my business. This is a sideline because I want to try and help donate these places, and I want to try and educate you about the sins of your diet. I believe that most of us are suffering from food poisoning, and it's not going to put you in the hospital today, but it will put you in the hospital eventually. Maybe you won't go to the emergency room, but you'll go to the chemotherapy office. You'll go to the dietitian's department to work on your diabetes. It's food poisoning of a gargantuan nature. If the Chi-Coms did this to us, we would be up in arms. If this is happening because the Russians did this, the Russians are meddling in our diet. No, they don't have to. They can sit back and watch us kill ourselves. I was in the hospital this morning seeing patients, and I walked by the, big no smoking signs. And what did I see next to them? The vending machines. And there were, the 3 O's, Cheerios, Fritos, and Doritos, all in the vending machine next to the sugary sodas. Don't be so proud that you've given up the smoking, my hospital friends. Why not talk about improving the diet? And when you say in the elevator posters saying the power of food, now I'm with you, let's go. And then I see underneath it, what you think of food is breakfast pizza and pecan pie. No, that's not healthy. The Boost, the Ensure, all that other junk you're feeding people, loaded with the wrong oils, etc. Wake up, people of America, and realize that you're doing this to yourselves. You've got to get back to nature with your diet. You've got to get back to natural. Avoid the processed foods. Stop going to the drive-ins so much. The drive-ins, the drive-throughs, just drive by. Okay, it's Dr. Berry. It's Dr. Joseph Berry. You're listening to a show called Your Health Matters. We're on 570 WSYR and also on 106.9 FM.
Yeah.
That's my good friends from back in the day, Belle Biv DeVoe, with their song Poison. And I like that beat. And I also like the concept, as I mentioned before, about poison, because I think we are poisoning ourselves. And it's not with the aluminium or mercury or lead. It's with the fast food. It's with sugar. And I can go on and on about how the number 1 cause of death in this country is heart disease. Number 2 is cancer. Number 3 is lung disease. Number 4 is accidents. Number 5 is stroke. Number 6 is dementia. Number 7 is diabetes. Number 8 is renal failure. Number 9 is flu and pneumonia. Number 10 is suicide. And the other people could have a different list. But really, I think the number 1 cause of death in America is sugar. That's what's killing us. That's what's poisoning us. As I sit here today in the luxurious control booth at WSYR, I'm feeling a little guilty because I really should be at the Apple Festival. That's where my brothers in arms at the Optimist Club are all working at the steak bake. We have a steak sandwich we sell at the Optimist. So if you're heading down to the Apple Fest, please skip over the apple pancakes. That is not healthy. Do not touch those French fries. You know what kind of oil they're using for that? I don't either. But go right to the steak booth and get yourself a steak sandwich loaded with onions and peppers. And unfortunately, do put that cheesy, wheezy stuff on that glows in the dark. But people seem to love it. But that's probably the healthiest thing you're going to get at the Apple Fest. And again, I should have, if I was really an intelligent person, really a business person, I would have planned to pre-record this show so I could be down there. I was down there yesterday, but today that's a miss because I got this, and then I've got Joby's birthday party at Van Dyne, and you can't screw up Joby's birthday party. It's a friend of mine who lives at the nursing home. I play chess with him or his brother every week, and the guy is so debilitated. I just keep thinking every year this is going to be his last year, and he just keeps ticking away and living on. I don't know how he does it. So every year we throw him a birthday party, and that's That's today. All right, now what did I read to get ready for today? I read the American Family Physician October's version, the Journal of the American Medical Association October 1st and 8th, the New England Journal of Medicine October 10th, among others. And from this New England Journal of Medicine was a couple of great articles. One was about serine, which is an amino acid, and how a deficiency of serine caused a significant pathology to the eye. And why I love this is because it dovetails with the story we heard a couple of months ago about the kid in England that went blind because all he ate was French fries, Pringles, an occasional bit of salami or white bread. And at 15, he was noted to have significant deterioration in his vision. And now that he's 17, he's blind. And comes from nutritional deficiency. It wasn't poison. That is, no active poison, but he simply didn't take enough of the right nutrients. Now, how is it that I can't convince my eyeball friends that macular degeneration in people in their 60s is also nutritional? If a kid can go essentially blind from nutritional deficiency at 17 from a severe deficiency, why can't a subchronic deficiency cause blindness or damage to the eye when you're 50, 60, and 70? Now, they have no idea what causes it, except to say, well, it could be genetics. It's some type of inflammation. What about the diet? I whisper to them. And they pretend they don't hear me. So that was an article in the New England Journal of Medicine that talked about the very essence of nutrition, an amino acid deficiency affecting your health. Bravo, and hopefully there'll be more of that. But another article was in the New England Journal of Medicine, and that brought me back to one of my original radio shows. When I first started this show, one of my first programs was about the miraculous powers of a little-known substance called vitamin C, ascorbic acid. How redeeming it is to see an article in the New England Journal of Medicine this month, October 10th, that discussed a randomized trial called Citrus Ali, I like that name, that proved that vitamin C can save lives in the intensive care unit in people with sepsis. Can someone please tell me why you have to be nearly dead before people will check your vitamin C or give you vitamin C, which is completely and utterly harmless and innocuous? You could take a gram of vitamin C an hour and have no ill effects. If you want to try and get vitamin C elevations that you get from an intravenous, then you have to take the liposomal vitamin C, because orally administered vitamin C, if you take 5 grams at once, you're going to lose most of that in your stool. But if you take 500 milligrams repeatedly over time, you'll get a better level, but not until you go with liposomal can you get an intravenous level. And I think it's a tragedy, and I think that hopefully, slowly over time, things will change. But if you have a loved one in the hospital, why not ask the doctor, can you please order a vitamin C level? Or whatever other test you feel we have to measure vitamin C. Because there's some other ways of measuring than just measuring vitamin C. And who's it going to hurt to give vitamin C intravenously? It can't hurt the patient. It really can't hurt the hospital's bottom line, because if the person doesn't die, that's a win for them because they get to spend more money getting treated. If the person gets out of the hospital or the ICU earlier, that's a win for them because they make more money on the same number of hospital days. So I urge you, if you have a loved one that goes into the hospital, just ask them, can I get a vitamin C level? And listen to their responses. Are they responses that are logical and reasoned, or is it just knee-jerk? We don't do that here. We don't. That's not done here. That's unnecessary. Well, how do you know it's unnecessary until you check? Yes, I know. I'm again being critical of doctors, but sometimes you've got to take the criticism. And I think that we doctors, and I am a primary care physician, a geriatric specialist by training. I'm now moving into the lifestyle medicine because I think that's really where the money is. And I mean, when I say money, I don't really mean the cash. I mean, that's where the health, the significant benefits are, not in dialysis, but in preventing dialysis, not in amputating toes from diabetics, but preventing that, not by using complicated technologies, not by using high expense medicines, but by saying to people, hey, if you want to improve your health, why don't we look at your plate? What's on there? Do you really believe that 50% of carbohydrates, that 50% of your plate should be carbohydrates? No. The food pyramid and now the My Plate are horrible distortions of your health. You need much less dairy. You need much less carbohydrates. You actually need less fruit because fruit is inflammatory. Is getting you ready for hibernation. When people talk about fruits and vegetables, they usually mean they like all the sweet fruits and they'll have a little vegetable if it's put in there under protest. No, my friends and frenemies, my Americans and Americans, what you have to do is fall in love with vegetables again. And when I see young people that say, well, I don't like vegetables, I cry, I sob, maybe not so quietly to myself. What am I to do with these people? Sure, I can slather the broccoli with butter and with cheese, with salt, and maybe that'll make it more palatable. I personally think you take a carrot and put some salt and pepper on that bad boy. That's as tasty a food item as you can get. You take some celery and fill up that hole with the celery with the hummus. You're talking about something far more healthy than any of the O's. Doritos, Fritos, Cheerios, Oreos. That stuff is, the chemicals in there are they scare me. They should scare you. You can't pronounce half those names. You have no idea what these chemical stabilizers, these preservatives are doing to your body, let alone to your body. What about those poor bugs in your gut? So again, getting back to the issue, if you have someone in the hospital, ask for a vitamin C level to be checked. It's a cheap drug. And I knew when I opened up the magazine that there was going to be an article about it because on the page 2 was a big ad for vitamin C intravenous. So I said, I see an ad for vitamin C intravenously here. I wonder if there's an article that touts it. And lo and behold, the next page. Now, just because some company is trying to capitalize on vitamin C doesn't mean it's not a good idea. I'm a big fan of vitamin C. As you know, I'm a huge fan of vitamin D. Those are 2 of the 4 components that make up my recipe. When I call it my recipe, I'm really taking liberty. It's a recipe derived from many people that in terms of how to reverse heart disease, how to reverse osteoporosis, because they're the same thing. They're calcium management problems. If your gynecologist is still recommending a calcium supplement, do not walk away, run away. If your cardiologist says there's nothing you can do for high cholesterol except take a statin, do not walk away, run away. I'm sorry, but those people are simply not paying attention to the science. Oh, they're supported by the guidelines, but not the science. When I spoke last week about the fact of cholesterol, it's not a cause of heart disease, that the cholesterol hypothesis was a broken one, that people should ignore their cholesterol and focus on the other important risk factors, their insulin level, their inactivity, their smoking. I was accosted by a coworker that said, well, okay, how do you explain familial hyperlipidemia? Those people all have very high cholesterols and they all die young. And I said, well, I have an answer for that. And for you to hear it, you've got to stay through the bottom half of the hour commercial break and then come on back with me to listen to the second half of the show. This is Dr. Joe Barry. The show is called Your Health Matters. This is News Radio 570 WSYR, now on 106.9 FM.
We're prescribing you a medication. Doctor says that I'm so lonely. A mistake on the painting of my family. But that big smudge is what I love. Give me a grenade and I'll take it to my face. Getting drunk at 1:45, cause my dad is a geezer. And he keys up my mum. You put it in my mouth, I'm gonna bite down. If that ain't no more than...
That's my old schoolmate, Youngblood. Don't ask me how to spell it. It's not what you think. And I like that YouTube video. Was it YouTube? It's some video, the official video of that song, because it shows him just popping pill after pill in his mouth, and you know, half of them are hanging out. And again, we are a medication-oriented nation, and as long as that goes on, the big pharma will be happy, your doctor will be happy, but will you be healthy? And I don't think so. I think that the pills you're taking are managing your symptoms. They're not fixing the disease. Your diabetic medicines are controlling your sugar, but they're not controlling your weight. They're not controlling your insulin level. Your indigestion pills, I think, are covering up your symptoms. If you eat something that bothers your stomach, hello, is anyone listening? If you eat something that bothers your stomach, don't eat it. But I love pizza. Well, your body's telling you it's not good for you. I don't know what else you want your body to do. Do you want your body to give you a cancer as a signal that your diet's wrong? Do you want your body to give you a heart attack to signal that your diet's wrong? It's trying to suggest to you that what you're doing is wrong, and you can fix it without the doctor. You can stop eating what bothers you. Prilosec, Protonix, Acifex, Capodex, Dexalant, there's omeprazole, esomeprazole. They're all designed as proton pump inhibitors. And when they first came on the market, I was tickled pink. Oh my goodness, here's a pill that shuts people up. They come in, they got indigestion. Hey, take this pill. If you're still bothered, come back. No one came back. It took care of all their indigestion. If they had ulcers, it took care of that. But for every one person taking it for a bona fide ulcer, there's 50 people taking it for indigestion. And I said, well, you know, how clever this pill is to just go to the proton pumps in the stomach and not involve the proton pumps in the rest of the body, including almost every cell. And now I realize they do affect every cell in the body. The proton pump medicine doesn't know to just go to the stomach. And the literature from England strongly suggests that if you take these medicines on a regular basis, daily for more than a year, it increases your risk of dying, not indigestion, stomach cancer, headache, dying by 50%. Now, I think 50% is always a pretty big number, whether it's a relative risk or an absolute risk. 50% is a big number. The Prilosec also affects the bugs in your gut. It also changes the gut wall, affects that, and causes leaky gut, and we can prove leaky gut now by the series of tests. And so I'm against Prilosec for the same reasons I'm against Advil. They cover up your symptoms and don't go to the source. So many guys at the dojo say, I got to get some Advil after this workout. I said, well, you will feel better today, but you'll feel worse tomorrow because you're blowing little holes in your stomach that allows these lipopolysaccharides, the LPSs, to get through the gastric wall, the small intestine wall, that sets up an inflammatory process, and inflammation on a large scale is not your friend. So again, getting back to the colleague that said, well, how do you explain the increased deaths in people with familial hyperlipidemia or familial hypercholesterolemia? It's the same thing. And I said to them, I don't, because I don't think the data is real, because it's been looked at, and yes, there are some increased deaths in young people with familial hyperlipidemia, but most of those deaths are not heart attack related. They're blood clot related, because it turns out the same locus of gene that controls hyperlipidemia also just a few alleles down on that chromosome is the genetic spot that controls for one factor of clotting. And it turns out that young people with familial hyperlipidemia may die, but they don't necessarily die from high cholesterol. And as they get older, that risk of dying goes down, and the average life expectancy of a person with familial hyperlipidemia is the same as the general population. It turns out it's not true that those people, that high cholesterol kills them all off early. This is something that I saw again and reviewed again in Dr. Malcolm Kendrick's fabulous book called Statin Nation. And he points out that familial hyperlipidemia was associated with some excess mortality in young adults, but that excess was not found in patients 60 years or older. Imagine if people said, well, smoking will kill you, but it only kills you when you're young. If you hit 60, you can keep smoking all you want. That doesn't make any sense for smoking and cancer, and it certainly doesn't make any sense that high cholesterol causes heart disease, and since it doesn't go away when you're over 60, why does the risk go away? One of my favorite authors growing up, the great science fiction writer Isaac Asimov, said the most exciting phrase in science, the one that heralds most discoveries, is not eureka, but that's funny. And what's funny is that people with familial hyperlipidemia will have very high LDL, sometimes 3 times higher than others. But the level itself bears no relationship whatsoever to the risk of heart disease. How can it be that your doctor says LDL cholesterol is a marker for heart disease if the level of that molecule doesn't matter? So again, one more nail in the coffin that says treating your cholesterol is a bad idea. I saw a gentleman last week who said, I want to become a patient of yours. And I said, no. Listen to his story for a little bit. He's got aches, he's got pains, he doesn't feel good, he wasn't in bad shape, he's just not in the shape he could be. And he just doesn't have the get up and go. And I said, well, the first thing you've got to do is stop your cholesterol drug. Stop that. Go on some CoQ10 to try and restore your body for a month or 2, and then see if you feel better. If you do, you don't need me. And if you don't, then I haven't helped you yet. Then come back, we'll talk some more. But I do believe that many people in this country are taking statin drugs that are not helping them. And your doctor's answer is it's part of the guidelines. And if it's part of the guidelines, it must be true. But unfortunately, there is no science that supports that. Of course, last week we talked about many studies that disprove the relationship between heart disease and cholesterol. And here's yet another one from Austria. It was entitled "Why Eve Is Not Adam." Prospective follow-up on 150,000 men and women with cholesterol and other risk factors related to cardiovascular and all-cause mortality. And this study demonstrated that the lower the cholesterol, the more likely you are to die young. I repeat, the lower your cholesterol, the more likely you are to die young. It is so clear that cholesterol does not cause heart disease that I challenge your doctor to find a large study that proves it does, at least one published in the last decade or two, because I don't think you can find one. High cholesterol is not dangerous. Treating your cholesterol ignores the important issues of oxidation and inflammation, which result, as you must know by now, from your diet. Not your mama, not your boss, not your wife, not those kids of yours, but what you're putting in your mouth. And you alone have the power to change your cardiovascular, dementia, cancer, diabetes, arthritis, inflammation, destiny. Let's go through my little checklist. Number one, stop with breakfast. Breakfast is inflammatory. It raises your insulin level. And if you're trying to lose weight, and who isn't? If you're trying to lose weight, the only way to lose weight is to have a low insulin level. Ask Dr. Jason Fung. Dr. Fung talks about intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting is all the rage now, but it's been around for 5,000 years. The ancient Greeks did it not to lose weight, but to clarify their mind. And if you don't feel well, if you think that food, whether it's gluten or lactose or something else in wheat, or it's something in the Roundup from all the inorganic vegetables you're eating, then stop eating. Now, again, I'm giving you generic advice. Go to your doctor and have him say, "I'm a crazy, toxic Dr. Joe." But don't. If you're taking 6 or 8 pills, stopping eating is probably not a smart idea. You've got to, talk to your doctor about the risks and benefits. Having said that, I get notified if any one of my patients is admitted to the hospital. I've been a doctor for over 30 years. I've never had a patient. "Oh, what happened to Johnny? Oh, didn't you hear he ended up in the hospital?" What? He stopped eating for 2 days. No, it doesn't happen. As long as you're drinking enough salty fluids, and I say salty because you want to keep the salt up when you're on some kind of a fast. Now we're talking about 2 or 3 day fasts here, and that's less than 1% of the population. But just skip breakfast and your insulin level will be lower. You're skipping a milky, soggy cereal, Cheerios, Special K. Special K is what we give cats as a tranquilizer, ketamine. There's nothing special about that breakfast cereal. The whole breakfast aisle should be skipped. The whole soda aisle should be skipped, except that's where they keep the water. But unfortunately, it's all water in plastic, so you're getting plastic poisoning as well. Where to turn, what to do. I wish I had all the answers for you, but I don't. But one answer is stop breakfast. Number 2, less dairy, in particular milk. I'm sorry. Number 3 is be careful with the meat. Not every meal has to have 8 ounces of meat. Next, get rid of the corn oil and the canola oil. That is simply bad for you. Next, a salad every day, not every other day, a salad every day, the green leafy stuff. And again, I want you to think about the salad dressing. There's no point in having a fabulous salad and then putting canola oil or corn oil on it. That stuff will harden your arteries faster than anything else. Olive oil, my friends, coconut oil, avocado oil, those are the healthy oils. Squeeze the olive, out comes the juice. You don't squeeze the canola. You don't squeeze the corn and have the juice come out. No, those are inflammatory because they're partially saturated. They're not completely saturated. Whereas olive oil is unsaturated. It's only got one spot that you can saturate. It's much more stable. It's much healthier for you. I do a half a jigger of olive oil and a half a jigger of cod liver oil every morning. And I cannot but help believe that's positively changing the molecular mix-up in my body. And soon I'll do the blood work to prove it. Okay, I've got more to say, including perhaps we'll talk about this MS resurgence in Central New York. We lead the country. Finally, Central New York leads the country in something. Unfortunately, it's in multiple sclerosis. not what I was hoping for. We'll talk about that after this break. You're listening to Dr. Joe Barry. The show is called Your Health Matters. It's News Radio 570 WSYR, also on 106.9 FM. That, my friends, is the great Brother Israel Kamanaului from Hawaii with that popular song, Somewhere Over the Rainbow. And how do you not love Somewhere Over the Rainbow? And unfortunately, Brother didn't take care of himself and died a young man. Now, I'd love to talk about MS with you. Unfortunately, we just don't know that much about it. Are we diagnosing it more in Central New York? Is it a weather thing? Is it a vitamin D thing? Is it a virus? Is it some exposure to some toxin? We just don't have enough data yet, but I think it's frightening that there's more MS in Central New York than any place else. I mean, more than Utica? More than Albany? It doesn't seem right to me. But I don't doubt the statistics, and I'm wondering what people are going to do to try and find out what it is. And I think even if it's the possibility of a question that it could be related to vitamin D, that we should address that and look at vitamin D in detail. And in that great book by Dr. Malcolm Kendrick, Statin Nation, not just does he talk about statins, but a bunch of other things about trying to improve your health. How much exercise do you need? Should you take a vitamin? Should you take aspirin? But he also, Dr. Kendrick's view is that one of the most potent things you can do to improve your health is expose yourself to the sun. That's right. Sunlight is salvation, and primarily because it increases your vitamin D level. Dr. Kendrick believed it's sunlight and vitamin D are super important to your health. I wonder where else you've possibly been hearing about the benefits of vitamin D. Well, you could say that I'm only quoting people that agree with me, but I can't find anyone who disagrees with me with the importance of vitamin D. Sure, there have been a few studies published in the last couple of years that say vitamin D doesn't work to prevent heart disease, or vitamin D doesn't have an effect on cancer. But if you actually look at those studies, you see that they didn't really measure people's vitamin D levels before they started treating them. And they gave them all the same dose of vitamin D, which is a very low dose. Moi, if I'm going to use vitamin D, I'm going to use 5,000 units a day, nothing less. Anything less isn't going to move the vitamin D bar. Your doctor, unfortunately, as I did for 30 of my 32 years of being a doctor, if the number said it was normal, in the normal range, that's fine. I stamped okay on the paper and moved on to the next one. Okay, next, not okay, not okay. Paper after paper, chart after chart. If it didn't go outside of the so-called normal range, I didn't care. But the normal range, at least in the local lab for vitamin D, is 31 to 100. And do you think that your health is the same at 31 as 100? I don't. So now I tell my patients, aim for a vitamin D of 80 or 90. That's where the magic happens. That's when the arteries start to loosen up again. You start taking calcium out of the aorta. That's when cancer risk goes down. That's when dementia risk goes down at 80, 90, or 100. Now your doctor's going to get a little squeamish when you get to 90 or 100. They're going to say, well, I'm very much worried about overdose or toxicity of vitamin D. You got to have to ask your doctor just one question. Doctor, how many people have you hospitalized with vitamin D intoxication? How many complications have you seen from high vitamin D? How many times on the death certificate did you write patient died of high vitamin D? Oh, never? 0.0? And how many people have you seen with osteoporosis that caused them to buckle in half, and those old ladies that now have their neck where their bra line is? Where people that have had osteoporosis-induced fractures of the femur and all of the dangers that entails. How many times have you signed death certificates for that? Person breaks their hip, ends up in the hospital, gets pneumonia, and dies. Oh, they might write down the cause of death was pneumonia, but the cause of that death was a fall, fracture, osteoporosis. And every doctor I know who does primary care has signed those death certificates over and over again. That's why falling is one of the top causes of death in America. It's in the top 5 accidents. And yet we are worried about your vitamin D going to 90 or 100. Well, people like Dr. Gundry, Dr. Mercola, they keep it over 100 and have seen no toxicity. So I'm a big fan of vitamin D. And again, your doctor is looking at a piece of paper that says vitamin D is normal, and that's not normal. They may be correct, but it's not optimum. Now, I'm not saying that non-melanoma skin cancers are caused by excess sun exposure. If I am saying that your squamous cell cancers, your basal cells, they're caused by the UV radiation. But melanoma, the scary cancer, is not caused by sunlight exposure. The data on that is overwhelming. Excess sun exposure actually protects people from melanoma. Now, if you're a white guy living near the equator, like Sunny Climes that are Southern California or Florida, yes, you will have more squamous cell and basal cell cancers, but not melanoma. And that's the only cancer I really worry about. There was an article published in the Annals of Epidemiology in 2009 that talked about women with higher sun exposure. They have half the rate of breast cancer. Men with higher sun exposure have half the rate of prostate cancer. Men and women with higher vitamin D levels had 1/4 the risk of developing colon cancer. I still have the sneaking suspicion that most of the chemicals in sunscreen are bad for you. And if you want to take a sunscreen, look at the work of the Environmental Working Group recommendations. That's EWG.org, I think. They've looked at this and have come up with what they think are safe sunscreens. But if you look at melanoma, it's dramatically increasing year over year. But if melanoma was due to sun exposure, why do people get it inside their nose? Why is it seen on the buttocks? Why has it occurred in the vagina or in the esophagus, where most people would say you're not getting a lot of sunlight? There was an article in The Lancet that pointed out that outdoor workers had a decreased risk of melanoma compared to indoor workers, suggesting that chronic sunlight exposure has a protective effect. And now you, my friends, are slathering on more sunscreen than ever. And the rate of melanoma is not going down. So are you putting on the SPF 50 or the SPF 100? You're dunking your kids in this stuff like it was miracle cream, and yet melanoma is not going down. Maybe it's just a publicity fear and misdiagnosis that we're also calling things that weren't melanomas now. And that's that issue was raised in the issue of the British Journal of Dermatology, that maybe we're just picking it up sooner and we're diagnosing it on things we used to call melanoma in situ. Now we're just calling it melanoma. Either way, I don't think the sun is your enemy. And I want you to try and enjoy the sun, especially this weekend when we get the last little bit of fall sun that you can enjoy without freezing. Again, let's talk about the basics. You're in charge of your health, not your doctor. Your doctor is managing your illness. The wellness comes from you taking care of business. So think about that when you look at your dinner plate tonight. Where are the vegetables? How processed is that food? Did you just pick something up? Because if you're getting fried food from any place that fries food outside of your home, they are not using a healthy oil. That's clogging things up. Think about getting the calcium score, because the calcium score will tell you your own personal risk. You don't have to ask the doctor to guess. You don't have to have a heart catheterization. Talk to you about the calcium score. Talk to your doctor about the calcium score, because that gives you a precise estimate of your risk of dying of a heart attack in the next 10 years. And it is the #1 cause of death in this country. So again, take steps, become proactive, work with your doctor. Because they're managing your illness, you've got to manage the wellness. Skip breakfast. And if you're one of those people that says they swoon without eating, that just tells you how sad your diet is now, how much of the standard American diet you've adopted. You should be able to go days without eating. Again, let's not go there. Let's start off with skipping breakfast and see how you do. You will lose weight. You will feel better. You might have a day or two of adjustment, but stop with the snacks. You know what a good snack is? There aren't any. So avoid snacks. Stop eating after dinner. Start getting a little bit of exercise. Think about something positive to help you with your mental health, because as I talked about last week, optimism, being positive, has real physical parameters that can be measured in your body. They measure the immune systems, people that are optimistic or pessimistic. It makes a difference. and you can make a difference. I'm hoping to make a difference 1 week at a time here on the radio. And I'll be back next week with a whole bunch of further issues involving cholesterol, the calcium score. I'm hoping to talk about sleep more because I've really been given that short shrift. And sleep is a third of your life. And I'm looking for a new mattress now, so naturally I'm doing a lot more sleep research. And I'm hoping to get someone from the sleep industry on. Tell us about what makes a good mattress, a bad mattress. And I'm not looking for a discount. No one's giving me a discount. I'm not looking, I'm not asking. I'm hoping that you stay healthy until next week. This is Dr. Joe Barry. You're listening to Your Health Matters. The radio show is called Your Health Matters. It's 570 WSYR, now on 106.9 FM.
The proceeding has been a paid program brought to you by Dr. Joseph Barry. Some of the information contained in this program has not been approved by the FDA, nor is it intended to diagnose, treat, prevent, or cure any diseases. Before considering anything discussed on this program, you should consult your doctor or primary care physician.